Hi everyone, and welcome back to Exploring AWS. In this video, we're going to make some account adjustments here. We're going to add multi-factor authentication into our root account. Now, I want to give you guys just a heads up, and again, you'll probably hear me say it 34 more times, maybe 35, before we actually get to changing this, but keep in mind that this is our root account. I can't say that enough. You do not want to continually use your root account when logging in and out of AWS, even though I do it myself. In reality, you really don't want to do that. You want to set up secondary accounts that have limited privileges to do the specific things that you're going to do. For example, in a later video, we're going to look at exploring the AWS CLI, and we're going to create a specific user or a specific key, a specific user and a specific key to do just that, right? We don't want to have everybody logging in with our root account, especially if this is for an organization. You don't want to have shared accounts that way. You want to create the root account that is the global God account for your AWS, account and set up an organization. And then you want to have secondary accounts that have just different specific roles and privileges. Regardless how you set that up and regardless how many accounts you have, one of the things you're going to want to do is set up multi-factor authentication for each of those accounts. Now, there's a number of different ways that you can do this. Let me back up. There's really one way you have to do this, but there's a number of different avenues that you can travel to actually get to the page to set this up. Now, if you don't have the IAM dashboard listed under your recently visited services, so you'll notice here you have all services and then recently visited, you can come up to the search field. You can type IAM. So let me get up there. You can type IAM. That's going to bring you down to the IAM dashboard, or that's going to give you the option. You can also type MFA if you can't remember, or you're just starting out, you're just learning, you can't remember that MFA is under the IAM dashboard. You can just type MFA and it'll give you the same dashboard. The third way that you can get there, again, under your recently visited, or you can type that in the search field, is if you go into your account, you can click on My Security Credentials, and that will bring you essentially to the same page. Okay. Now I have it under recently visited, so I'm just going to click on it because I'm lazy. Now, disclaimer here for IAM roles. This isn't an IAM role video. I probably will not have one because we're going to briefly go through it here. But this is where you're going to set up all those different accounts and roles. So, for example, if I click on users here, this is where I would set up various different users. If I click on roles, this is where I'm going to either create or leverage some of the existing roles that AWS already has. So if I am going to create a user that just has CLI access, or I'm going to create a user that can just, see specific services within AWS, this is where I would either create those roles or, again, leverage the roles that AWS already has. So at the end of the day, you create a user, you give that user a role. What are they allowed to do when they log into the console? And it's as simple as that. So you go back to the dashboard here, and you'll notice that there is a security alert. And the alert that we have here is that we do not have multi-factor authentication, or just simply MFA for short. We do not have MFA enabled on this particular account. So let's go ahead and enable it. Now, this is something you're going to do for all the accounts that you set up. You don't necessarily have to go through this process because, as we're going to see, there's multiple different things that you can, there's multiple different options that you can select. Now, again, this is the security credentials page within the IAM role dashboard. If I were to come over here and click on My Security Credentials, you'll notice the page doesn't do anything because it's the same page. So if you don't want to, if you're kind of lazy and you want less clicks, you can just come over here, My Security Credentials, you're done. So we'll say activate MFA. This is where I'm going to choose how I want to do this. And there's multiple different MFA options that I can have. For an organization, you're probably looking at something like UTF, or you're probably looking at some hardware device. This is where you would hand out tokens to users that have AWS access, and they would just have a key that refreshes on their token, and they just type in the digits that are on that hardware token, that's on their car keys or something like that, or in their wallet. Now, for us, I don't really care about all that. I'm not going to go and do that. I'm not going to go and pay for it because it is a paid for service. I'm just going to click on virtual device because we want it synchronized to my iPhone, and I'm going to say continue. Now, these are our 3-step instructions here. It makes it literally stupid proof. So what we can do is we can click on the list of compatible applications. That's going to bring us to the next page. Now, these are, again, the different form factors that you can have for MFA. You can see that there's a free one here. That's the virtual one we're going to use. But these are all the 4 other options that you can purchase. So again, if you want a hardware token, if you want a hardware key fob, you can read through the different options there that you have, and then you can go ahead and purchase that. They also have a specific one just for GovCloud. I know we didn't dive deep into that and cover it, but the name is self-explanatory, right? It's a specific AWS setup and architecture specifically for the US government. We scroll down here, and about the middle of the page, you're going to see supported applications for both Android and iPhone. So really, it's as simple as picking one of these. Some of these you may have to pay for. Currently, most of them are free. I use Authy, but again, if you're a Duo subscriber, which, I mean, come on, you should be, because it's owned by Cisco, and Cisco's awesome. That's why I work there. Now ask me why I don't use Duo. Because I'm lazy, and Authy is free, and what I used before I worked for Cisco. Anyway, so you'll download one of these apps, really not a big deal, right? Then what you do is you're going to come back to, once you've downloaded the app, you're going to come back to this screen and you're going to say show QR code. Now in Authy, and I'm going to talk about Authy because it's the one that I use. In Authy, when you actually set up an account, you go in Authy, on the right hand side there's going to be a button that says add account. So you're going to click that, and it's going to bring you to another screen, and you're going to say scan QR code. You're just going to click that button on your phone. It's going to have access to your camera, or it may ask you for access to your camera. You're going to say yes, and it's going to bring you to where you're going to set up an account nickname. Now if you'll give me a second here, I am going to pause the video because I'm going to change the account nickname. So just give me 1 second. Okay, so once you give it a nickname, you're going to say save, and it's going to give you it's going to give you a screen where now it's got the account listed in Authy, and it's going to give you a code. Now this code is going to refresh every 30 seconds. So what you're going to do is you're going to say 721938. This is the first code that I've gotten. So I'm going to pause the video for the next 20 seconds. I'll unpause it when I get the next code. All right, so I have the next code here. We're going to say 552. It was only 1 5 or 2 5s and 518. Okay, now you'll notice that after I enter in both of these codes, it says assign MFA. That's it, I'm done. At this point, I have multi-factor authentication enabled on this particular account. So if I go back to my dashboard, you'll notice that that security alert now disappears because I've enabled MFA on this particular account. So again, it's really that easy, folks. This is something you definitely want to do if you're using your root account. But again, you want to use it for all the accounts, and you do not want to use your root account for everything. See you guys in the next video.